am going to now review Dinoking. I read it. I've had it for a while. It was in the nice packaging, the nice plastic. I didn't want to open it. And to be honest, to be quite honest, I was very worried, right? Certain things worry me, right? And hurting people's feelings. I like Liam, right? Full disclosure, I like Liam. I hired Liam to do some work for me. God willing, if everything goes well with our comic, Liam will do some more work for me in the future, right? So I was very hesitant to even read the book, right? Because I have in the past read comics from people that we were friendly with, comics from people that we, dealt with, were nice. And I'm not always the nicest critic, right? I get pretty harsh sometimes. I get, into the weeds. I get really anal about things. And people don't like that, right? We've had issues with like Niobe where I gave him my honest opinion of it and he flipped the fuck out. And I would not want Liam to flip out on me, right? Because again, I like Liam and I want Liam to do more work for me. So I was very, very hesitant to look at this, to touch it, to review it. But I said, no, I got to do it right. I have it. People are talking about it. People probably want to know my opinion on it. So I went ahead and I read it. And man, it was really fucking good. Guys, I'm not just saying this. This is not me saying this to, blow smoke up Liam's ass. It was actually a really, really fun read. And I'm gonna show some images. We're going to go over it in more in depth. But there will be spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled on the Dinoking, you want to read it for yourself. I will say in this non-spoiler section before we get to the spoilers, it is a very easy read. It's a very fun read. The book is well paced, right? Now there's one or two little stumbling blocks and as far as pacing goes, but they're so minor, right? You won't even notice it, right? You might register it a little, but you're gonna fly past it and it's gonna be in your rear view mirror before you know it, right? The book just moves along. I wouldn't say at a breakneck pace, but at a fast enough pace that you're going through this and you could probably read it. I read it, I wouldn't say in 20 minutes, right? Sat down, read it 20 minutes, like 70 pages. It's a very interesting story. It's a very good story. The overall plot is a young boy is found by a family, taken in, shown love, shown what it means to be part of a family, what it means to be a human. He learns about humanity and being human and being part of a family, being appreciated and not having to fight for everything, right? And through that, he learns that, things don't have to be the way that other people want them to be, right? Because, his previous family, his previous people come to get him, right? They say, hey, you don't belong there. You belong with us. So you got to come with us. And so it is through what he learned with this family that he's like, no, I don't have to go with you guys. I don't have to. I can do this. I can do this other thing, right? I can live this other life. I can be this other person that's a good person. It's very reminiscent of the Iron Giant in a lot of ways, right? Where the Iron Giant is, a war machine, but he forgets he's a war machine, but then he kind of learns at the end that he's a war machine. But he's, this time he spent with the boy, kind of got him to like, I don't want to be a war machine, right? I'm going to be a good robot. I want to be a nice robot, right? And so it's a lot like that in a lot of ways. Like I said, it's very good. I like the art. The art is very, if you like manga, it's very old school manga art. Sometimes you'll have real detailed backgrounds and sometimes it's very undetailed and just, white space. There is a point in the comic in which the art gets really rough. And I think Liam did this in order to kind of show the mindset of the character or the main character, Kaji, right? Because he sort of goes berserk, right? In one part of the comic, and then things kind of get rough. Like the images are a lot more rougher. It's a lot darker. It's a lot, the line work is a lot heavier. And so, again, it works, right? When you get it, when you read it and you're like, oh man, this is, when it's the nice family, it's a nice classic manga, then it gets like this rough stuff later. and it really works. It really helps sell the story, right? It helps show the mindset of the character. Negatively, like I said, there is a few minor pacing things, right, that I would say can probably be fixed in like revisions or a third printing, right? There's a few terms that they throw around that if you're not familiar with, like, I guess the other works, the other works in the Xenoverse, you might not know what's going on. They don't keep you from enjoying the story, but it's kind of one of those like, I wonder what that means. What is that exactly? I'm not sure what that means, right? So there's that. Really, I think that's really the only really negatives in there. Is like I said, there's a couple stumbling blocks. There is there's a map with stuff that's kind of unreadable, right? And again, that's it's not really a pacing problem or a wording problem. It's more of a size issue, right? Liam has a couple of things in there where, and we'll get to it when I show it off, but where he's gonna kind of either go with a 2-page spread or add an extra page here or there to make the text more legible, right? I think that's a problem. Like on the map, there's some almost unreadable text. On the computer, it's not going to seem unreadable. Like you guys will see it and you're like, oh man, this is what's Tony talking about. But like when you get the book, it is very tiny and hard to read. So that's a problem. But like I said, most of it is really good. It's really well paced, well read, well written. I laughed out loud several times. There's several moments in the comic where I legitimately was just laughing, right? And there's this one line at the end. It comes out of nowhere. It's a very cutesy line from the female main character, right? Mia. She says this line, and I was legit just, I had to like stop reading. I just started laughing. I couldn't stop. It was because it came out of nowhere and it was like so perfect. It's such a perfect fucking line that a little kid would say. And it was just funny. It was just so funny. So yeah. So we're gonna get to spoilers now. I'm gonna show some images and we're gonna get into some really heavy spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I would turn it off now. But if not, stick around because we're gonna be talking more Dinoking, right? And we're gonna show some stuff off. And like I said, overall, really good book. Say one of the best books I've read in a long time. Right, so this is the cover. Unlike some people, unlike Mike Patika, I don't have a problem with the cover. I don't think it's too busy. It's very nice. I got obviously the blue version, right? The limited edition cold-blooded version. Very nice. I think the only issue I have with the cover is it's sort of a spoiler, right? If you're someone like me who didn't really watch a lot of Liam Gray content, weren't really watching people talking about the book or read any reviews, or you don't really know anything about Dinoking, this image is pretty spoilery for what happens in the comic, right? Because you're introduced to Kaji, and he's amnesiac. He doesn't know anything. He's, something's off with him, but you don't know what exactly. Turns out he's a dinosaur man, right? As you can see from the cover. So going in, you're kind of like already spoiled on the, I wouldn't say twist, but it is a minor little like surprise almost, right? All right, so this is the must say the previously in Xenotype page, which I guess I guess you have to read. It's all connected, right? It's all in the Xenoverse. And while this book, you could read this book without, I haven't read the other ones, and I'll say that this not reading the other ones didn't affect my enjoyment of this book, right? And I think you could read this without reading the other ones. but there is going to be some information and some extra added context that you're going to be missing. But I think this page is a detriment to the book, right? Because again, you read it and you kind of go, okay, what's all this stuff, right? So I'll just read the page. It says, empires rise and empires fall. History is written by the victors. The past of Earth is shrouded in deception, and the storm-swept planet Orm is no different, right? Except here, the authors of the future and the architects of the past are a clandestine cabal of gene-warped antediluvian abominations known as the Black Diamond Conspiracy. Okay, so right here, while most of these words I know, I don't know what antediluvian means, right? I don't know what that is. So again, I'm kind of like, what's that? Okay. Some kind of weird people. There's some weird people, right? It says, however, even the sprawling reach of Black Diamond has its limits. Distant, inaccessible lands of too little value to their greater vision to merit observation or record. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, there's places, remote little places. It says there in remote rural communities, men and women are free to think and live as they please. Apart from the hungry corporate machine that threatens to encroach upon their homes, devour their farmland, and seize credit for their every innovation and success. Though even here, in the illusory piece of obscurity, men know to fear the storms and the invisible monsters that lurk just beyond the edge of the known. But change is on the horizon. In the starlight arcology of Fernwa City, a new brand of super psycher has appeared. Okay, so boom, I'm like, what the fuck is a super psycher, right? And again, obviously you got to read Xenotype, you understand, but I don't know what a super psycher is, so I'm confused. Like I can kind of maybe like if I'm really like sounds like someone who has like mental like ESP powers, like super psychic, right? Kind of sounds like that, but I don't know for sure, right? I don't know what that means really. It says the transformation hero Esper. And now, for the first time since the dark age of man, a new hope rises from the unknown to oppose the tyrannical rule of Black Diamond. And so begins a new age of revolution, a new age of apocalypse. So I think what would have been better off, instead of this, right, I think defining terms, right, what a super psycher is, maybe focus more on this planet and what's going on with the people and the communities here as it relates to Dinoking more so than as it relates to the wider Xenoverse, right? Especially when there's not really a lot of, at least for me, didn't seem like there was a lot of crossover. And maybe I'm missing, again, maybe I'm missing context or maybe I'm missing something, but I feel like this page should have been more focused on the Dinoking specific stuff, right? So then we got this. This is the map, and this is how it would look, right? This is how it would look to you. If you're not looking at the screen, you can see a map of Arbor Bona, which is the state that they're in, right? And on the bottom is a bunch of text that is nearly unreadable. It is so small. The text is so tiny in the book, right? Like I could blow it up on the computer, on the scan, I can blow it up and read this. It's very legible. It's very interesting text I would love to have read when looking at the comic, but in the comic, the text is too small. And there's another thing at the end, right? So at the end of the book, after the story, there's some fake newspaper and then some like images of the characters in the book, right? And again, the text is tiny, and that's a huge issue. So what I would suggest if Liam is watching this or if he gets informed, I would have added a second page, right? I know that like it's a new expense, right? Oh man, gotta add pages. But I think the best thing to have done would be to have added a second page in which the text was on the second page in a more legible form, a more larger scale. And that I would have done. And also, so the story takes place here in the Uxor forest. I would have highlighted it in in some way. Like, hey, this is where Dinoking is, right? Like, maybe circle it, like Dinoking takes place here, and then like circle whatever, like, hey, this is where Xenotype takes place, right? If you're gonna do that, if these locations have anything to do with anything in the other books, if not, there's a lot of stuff here that I don't know is really necessary to know, right? Like, oh, look, there's a Sitgraves Falls is over here, and there's a this town here is Black Score Woods, and there's Ironwood and all this stuff here, and it's like, it's good, I guess, but I don't know if that's really important, right? Like, I don't know what a Sormar corrections camp means, right? And this is another problem that Liam has, right? Liam, the idea of like, you can do this, right? You can use a little hyphen, right? If you run out of space, you can hyphenate a word, right? So you can put yellow, you can put yell hyphen, and then next line LO, right? LOW for the rest of it, right? You can do that, but you shouldn't have to, right? The amount of times that Liam has a text box or a text bubble in which he has to hyphenate a word because it doesn't fit properly, just go back. Either change the words, fix the sentence, make the bubble bigger, right? Like for this, instead of saying Somar corrections, Somar core hyphen actions camp, you could have put Somar camp of corrections, right? Or you could have made Somar a bigger word, right? Say, oh, you know what? I'll make this a bigger word in order to put corrections camp, as 3, right? Or even just put 3, right? I mean, if you have to put Somar, and next line corrections, next line camp, right? And just make this a little, the little legend for your map just a little bit bigger, right? Just extend it one more space, because you got a little empty space on the bottom, right? So it would have just extended it down just a little bit, and instead of having that word being broken up, which again is not, it's not wrong, but it is almost annoying, right? I would say just a little annoying. All right, so this is that page at the end again. As you can see, if you look at the screen, if you're not looking, it's pictures of dinosaurs, unidentified animal tracks that were found in the forest. This is at the very end of the book, where it's talking about these characters that, these dinosaur characters that are running around in the area, and how people are confused by these dinosaur tracks that they're seeing all over in the forest, right? But the text is so fucking tiny. I would say, Liam, this is another case where you would have to just break this up, right? Instead of all these, what is it? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Instead of these 14 dinosaurs on one page, maybe break it up into 4 pages, right? So you have about 4 dinosaurs on each page, right? Maybe give the bigger dinosaurs 3 dinosaurs per page, right? But that way you could have this text. You can have the dinosaur, you have a bigger picture of the dinosaur, you have the text. Because this is interesting information, right? This is information I wanted to read, right? I was like, oh man, let me learn a little bit more about these characters, these dinosaurs, these things, right? But you couldn't read it, right? I could read it here because it's on the computer and I could zoom in and stuff. But I'm an old man, right? I'm 44. My eyes ain't what they used to be. And I doubt that even children with great eyes are going to be able to read that text as small and as tiny as it is. So yeah, that is one of my major complaints with the book is pages like this with good information, right? It's not bad information. It's not information that I don't want. It's information I do want. I just can't read it because it is so tiny, right? It's like literally, I don't even know how, like, it's like 6 point, right? That's how tiny it is. All right. I see we got another page. It's the same thing, right? Where they talk about the group Black Talon, which are the bad guys. And again, the top text is fine, right? You could read that, but it's that bottom text where they really go into detail about these characters that I can't read. and most people probably can't read them without some sort of magnifying glass. Look, I have to zoom in almost 200%, right, just to be legible. So probably again, I would break this up into 2 pages, right? The Black Talon description on one page, and then the individual descriptions on another page. Heck, maybe even go 4 pages. You got 4 characters. Each one get a page, because again, you want people to read this information, right? This information you want people to have. You want them to read. It is very interesting information, right? And putting it so small, it's like you had it and you're like, oh, I'll just shove it in. I got to put one more page. Let me just shove this very tiny text box in. It's not good. It's not good. All right. So this is where our story kicks off. We got 2 young people in the forest. We got Ken and Mia. And forgive me for if you're looking at the screen, if you're not just listening, if you're actually paying attention to the images. Obviously, William's book is pretty thick. I didn't want to tear it apart in order to scan the images. So sometimes on the edge, you're going to get a little bit of blur effect. That's on me. That's my fault. But you got these 2 characters, Ken and Mia. And they're out there picking mushrooms. They're picking flowers. Typical kid stuff. Now, here's Mark Pratika had a issue because he didn't like the info dump here. And we got the little like Kendama, Shiratori, age 9, interest, bug catching, ninjas, and bike riding. Special talent, can hold his breath for 3 minutes, right? It's a little fun information. I think the issue again with this, for me, is he should have put a box. Liam, if you're going to do this, if you're going to put this little like info box here, make it an actual box. Put a opaque background on it, right? It doesn't have to be like black. You could put like a nice, like a darker gray, or and then put white text. That way it stands out, right? Again, it's easy to read here in the scanned document, but in the actual book, it's a little harder to read. But we got these 2 characters. They're sitting here. They're collecting their stuff in the forest, and they hear a sound, of course. We know what that means. It's gonna be a dinosaur. Oh shit! They're all scared, but they don't see a dinosaur. It's not a dinosaur. It's actually a dude. He's just chomping away at the. He's chomping away at a deer. Right? It's just a guy eating a deer, and the kids are scared initially, but. The guy tells him, "Hey, don't worry. We're all good. It's all good, homie. I'm just a little hungry man that's eating a deer in the forest." So they convince him to go with him back home, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you help us walk home? Because there's monsters in the forest, monsters out there, and why don't you protect us?" And he agrees to protect them. Come home, and they meet the mom. The mom freaks out, but the kids are like, "Hey, don't worry, mom. He's a good guy. He's a good guy, mom." The mom agrees. They let the kid stay. Kid got no name. You don't know who he is. You don't know nothing. And that's where we kind of get the first little speed bump. I didn't take an image of it, but essentially we have a image of the house, right? It says the Shiatori household, Aaron's Vangloria. And then we have the exact same image. It says the next day, right? The next day says haunted by vague nightmares and fleeting images of forgotten past. The amnesian hero stirs, awakened from a slumber by hushed whispers. Okay. I know Liam said that he wanted to show the passing of time with this, but it is unnecessary, right? I think we could have gotten rid of the first image and just had the second one, move the text box down into that second image where it tells you it's their household. Next day, Shiatori household, and you would still have the passing of time. Obviously, you would know that it is, if it says the next day, clearly that means there's a passage of time, right? You don't have to show it necessarily, right? And so here's another, I'm going to say problem, just sort of curiosity, right? So the kids are talking to Kaji. They gave him the name. They don't really explain how they came up with the name. They just kind of decided that's going to be his name, right? I guess it kind of sounds like kaiju, but why do the kids know this? Kaiju is sort of it's an Earth term. It's a Japanese word for like giant monster, but they're not Earth people, right? They're on another planet, because clearly that's what we were told at the beginning, right? It is what is it? The planet Orm. So they say it's you. We came up with it because Mia kept crying when Mom called you the Monster Man, right? And he says, yes, arigato. Is that what you want me to say, right? And the children says, wow, I didn't know you spoke Japanese too. So cool. Why? Okay, so this is what kind of like threw me off, right? I understand that he is unconsciously reading their mind, right? Are they Japanese? How could they be Japanese? How could Japanese exist on a alien planet, right? Like, this is what I'm confused. Like, again, maybe there's context that I'm missing. Like, is this planet like? Did people from Earth go into space and colonize space, and then this planet is a planet that was colonized by Earth people, right? Until there's still like remnants of like Earth culture, even though it's like on another planet in the future sometime, right? If that's the case, then fine, right? But if that's not the case, why is he speaking Japanese? Why do they know Japanese? Were they speaking Japanese the whole time when they met him, and then he was speaking like broken English, so that's why they kind of didn't understand each other. So that kind of like, again, was just kind of confusing for me. So it says, don't worry, she'll like you now. You'll see. Don't be scared. Go. He says, Shazai, please slow down. You're thinking so fast. I don't know what Shazai means. Like, again, that's like, is that like a term that's used in the Xenoverse? Is that like a swear? Like, is that an alien planet swearing word? I don't know. But we find out that there's food. He likes food. Right? And the family says, hey, you can have our food. We'll share you this food with you because we got enough to eat, right? We got tons of food, right? Even the mom says, see, plenty enough to eat, to go around and eat up, Kaiji. And he says, ita dakimasu. I don't forgive my Japanese pronunciation, right? But he says this word. And she says, it's excellent you're taking so quickly to chopsticks, Kaiji. You're a very fast learner, but it's impolite to read our minds without permission. Okay. So again, this is where I'm like, how does she know he's reading her mind? Like, there was no indication to us, right? Like, she didn't have like some sort of reaction where she's like he's reading my mind, or like, so I don't know how she knows that he's reading her mind, right? Like, again, it's not a huge deal. It's not like oh man, the story's no good now, but it's just kind of a, huh? Like a what? Like, how does she know that he's reading her mind? But he's eating, he's with the family, and then here's the only other really like odd part, right? Is they're talking, and she says, hold on, where is it? Talks about the food. Maybe it was earlier. Yeah, okay. So earlier, she was talking about the food, right? And she goes, I know it's not much, but it beats carrion and the nutrient paste we've been feeding you through the nasogastric tube to keep you alive. Okay. So, as far as we know, it was the next day, right? So, Kaiji shows up. He collapses outside the house. Then the next day, they wake him up, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, we've been feeding you with a tube." I don't know how they assessed that he was dying of starvation, that they needed to tube feed him. That so I think if Liam, if you, instead of saying the next day, if you put like a week later, right? that would at least make sense with like, oh, he's been knocked out for a week and we've been tube feeding him and trying to keep him from dying in our custody, and now he's awake. Finally we were able to wake him up because things are different, right? Things are he's finally stabilized. But again, it's kind of weird that you would tube feed a guy for a night. Like it's just one night. It's just But the mom tells him basically, hey, you gotta learn about family. We gotta teach you, and people have purpose. Animals don't have purpose. People have purpose, and one of those purposes is to do chores. So Kaiji is really, really excited. He wants to do chores. He wants to be a human. He wants to learn purpose. And he goes out there and he kills the cabbage, which is kind of funny because he's eager to please, but he doesn't. His heart's in the right place, but he doesn't really understand what's going on or what's being asked of him. He tries to milk the cow, and he blows a hole through the cow barn. But the mom tells him basically, "Hey, don't worry about it. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna work through this. You're gonna be as strong as you need to be, right? You can make mistakes, you can screw up, but as long as you learn from them and you move on and you go ahead, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay." Then we have this nice moment where they're teaching him. And he says, you got to use a delicate touch. Don't forget Bessie is part of the family too. He says, food can be family too. And the little boy says, Ken says, classic Kaiji. And Mia says, no, silly Kaiji. Family is never food. Yeah, dummy. Yuji Yori Sodachi. And again, this is where I think, Liam, you need to explain. I have no clue what Yuji Yori Sodachi means. And this is a phrase that gets brought up again at the end, right? And as a non-Japanese speaker, as someone who's not familiar with this term or this phrase, it kind of throws me off. Kind of like, I don't know what this means, right? So you might have wanted to explain, put a little like asterisk by it and a little text box going, this is a common Japanese phrase that means X, Y, and Z, right? Just like with that other one where he said itamatsu, whatever, ita daki masu, whatever that is, right? Like I have no clue what that means either, right? Like if you're gonna throw in like arigato, at least is a people are familiar. They've heard that before. I think most people know what that means, right? It's like saying hola, right? People know what hola means, right? But there's certain phrases and certain expressions that are universal and people understand, but there's other ones that you kind of go, I need you to explain that. I need to know what that means. But they say Kaiji-kun, he is such a usual boy. And this is, again, where I know what you meant, and so I read it the incorrect way, which is what you actually meant. You mean he is such an unusual boy. He's not it's not an, Liam. He's not like an usual. He's not such unusual. He's supposed to be unusual. UN, usual, which is one word, but that's a little typo. But I've given him a home here, a purpose, and a family, my family. But I can't help but feel, whatever was or may come, you will blossom into an exceptional young man. Forgive the past, Kaiji. Let the waters of human kindness nourish you and quench the silent raging in your heart. Do this, and no matter what, you will be worthy a member of the Shiatori clan. So then we see it's 3 month time skip, right? We get 3 months of sort of jumping ahead. Kaiji's with the family. They're having fun. They're enjoying stuff. The dad's still not home. Apparently, the dad never comes home. They mentioned the father going away. But it's not really clear if the father's away on business. The father's like in town doing stuff, but in the entire book, he's not mentioned. Even after the mom gets killed, it's not like, oh man, we need to find our dad now that mom's dead, right? Because again, they mentioned the dad, at the very beginning. They say, hey, we could have him stay because he could help us while dad's away, right? But yes, it says, plus he's super strong, so he can help out with dad's old chores. You're always saying, So I guess the dad's dead, but it's. They also have like an older brother. Like the mom mentions her older son, but again, it's not clear. Are they dead? Are they away? Are they just not home? So I think that a little clarification on that would be helpful. But other than that, I mean, you can forgive that. You can forgive that, right? So 3 months, everyone's having fun. The mom does say, but Shogi's not expected home until next fall. Wait here, I'll get it, right? Because someone shows up. And who shows up? Fucking dinosaurs. A surprise, bitch. You've probably seen that image. People have posted that before. Like the mom opening the door and there's just a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex head going, surprise, bitch. And he eats the mom. He eats the fucking mom. It's crazy. So Kaiji gets kind of pissed off. He attacks this Tyrannosaurus. He rips some of its throat, right? He hurts it. He starts chewing and chomping into the throat of this big old T-Rex. He says, I'm going to eat you alive. But then this pterodactyl comes out, right? And we have this little text box. And you guys might not be able to see it because of the scan. But it says, it's got words in here that are very unfamiliar to me, right? It says xenotype, Gordon V1.0, right? And again, I guess his name is Garudan, but I don't know what a xenotype is, right? I know there's a book called Xenotype. I know that xenotype is a thing, but as a new reader to the Xenoverse, just jumping in with Dinoking, right? I think an explanation for what a xenotype is, whether in the beginning, right, in that little like, hey, previously on Xenotype, like maybe explain what xenotypes are, or somewhere in the book prior to that, right? Because the Tyrannosaurus also has a little text box like that, where it's like xenotype, Rextol, deployment code, classification, assignment, right? I don't know what siegecraft is, right? This one says classification scout. I can understand that, right? I can manhunter, scout. You can understand those kind of words, right? But what is a siegecraft? Don't know really what that means. Assignment, wilderness recon and extraction. So that's fine. But why do I need to know his deployment code? That's like I don't understand how that's pertinent information, right? But through this, I'm gonna say pterosaur, this giant bird creature, right? He attacks Kaiji and he basically tells Kaiji, hey, this ain't the first family, right? This ain't your first rodeo. Turns out Kaiji is the son of the, I won't say king and queen of the dinosaur people, but he's at least the head, the people in charge, right? The Gideon and what the hell is her name? Sorexian. So Sorexian is his mom, and Gideon is his dad. And I don't know if those names mean anything to people who read the other Xenoverse books. It really don't mean anything to us, other than those are the guys that sent these dinosaurs after Kaiji, right? He says, hey, your name's Cole. You are the son of these people. You're very important. We're basically been training you. We basically been sending you out into the world. You meet people. You join a family. We then murder your family in order to make you mad, because apparently making you angry is going to unlock your like Super Saiyan level, right? It's like, hey, if we make you angry enough, we can make you Super Saiyan, right? And now I don't know if so. There's xenotypes. I don't know if that's like an artificial thing, right? Again, like is that like mutant? And so like he's like a super mutant, or are they just normal people that have been somehow given special abilities, and then he was born from people with special abilities, so he's like naturally special, right? Like the difference between Captain America, like if Captain America and Black Widow had a kid, that kid would be more powerful because he has Captain America's super blood in it, right? Like he's a mutant child, but Captain America's not a mutant, right? That's the difference here, right? Does that make sense? Like, so I don't know if those are like if Gideon and Sorexon are mutants, so they're having another mutant kid in Cull here, or are they just normal people and now he's a mutant because they had their DNA or something affected by the experiments to make the, I don't, because again I don't know what a xenotype is. Again, is that a skill issue on my part? Possibly, but an explanation would have been a little helpful. So they basically say, yeah, we send you out there. You go, you meet families, and that alabaster disaster that those other people were talking about, that was us. We went out there, we let you be a little kid, you joined a family, and we killed them. We murderized them. And we're basically been doing this for a long time, right? And they say it's very clinical, really. We love there to be a simpler way, Cole. We really would. But to avenge Gideon and eliminate Black Diamond, we need you to get angry. It's the only way to awaken your powers. This is your purpose. This is the reason you exist. So again, he asked, how many times? How many families have you killed? And they said, oh, who could count? And so I would have liked, because they show once, right? They show the alabaster disaster from 11 years ago. But it would have been nice if they would have showed like a couple of scenes, right? Like Alabaster 11 years ago, this other place 10 years ago, this other place like 20 years ago, right? Like showing like a 6 or 7 scenes, right? Like little, even if it was just one panel, right? Just one little panel, like boom, showing that they've done this multiple times, right? It has been multiple times. They say it, but then they just show one, and I don't know why that one is more important than any other one. And he's a little boy, so he's a little boy 11 years ago. So again, it's like, is it like a yearly thing that they're doing this? Because he appears to be like a 5-year-old child. Maybe it's hard to tell, right? With anime, it's hard to tell, but he could be like a 5 to like 8-year-old kid, and now he's like a 16 to 20-year-old kid, right? Yeah, but he gets pissed, and he's like, "No, I'm not gonna do this. No, I'm not down for this." So they just fucking murder him. They murder the fuck out of Kaiji, right? And they go, "Well, you're kind of hurt, Dinosaur Man. So we're gonna take those kids and we're gonna put you into one of the kids, right?" And again, I don't know how that works. Is that like that would make you a xenotype? They put your brains into other people's bodies, but they say that. It says one of these human children should be a suitable candidate for incubation. Even in their juvenile state, their raw psionic potential far exceeds that of regular Omen. So that's the other thing, right? So when Kaiji is approached by these dinosaur guys, they go, "You're not a human or an Omen." OHMEN. I don't know what that means. I know what a human is, obviously, but I don't know what an Omen is, right? Is that like an alien? Is that, again, are there people, is this like Earth people went to space and like an Omen would be like a native of that planet, but a human is like a native from Earth? Is that, again, it doesn't stop me from enjoying the book, but it just kind of takes me out a little, right? Yeah, but Kaiji gets mad. He's supposedly going to take him weeks to reconstitute himself, right? They go, I was careful to destroy the brain. It should probably take a few weeks for his cells to pull themselves together. So apparently Kaiji has like regenerative abilities, but he immediately comes back to life. He regenerates and goes, I'm going to fucking murder these guys. I'm going to go chase them down and find them. And that's when he becomes sort of dinosaur-like. He starts chasing these fucking people down. And he meets a whole bunch of other dinosaur people. And they say, "Hail to the king." He says, "No, me, no king, me Kaiji." And again, he meets a lot of dinosaur people, and he just fucking straight up murders them, right? And they're all basically like, "Oh shit, he's unlocked. He did it. He's unlocked his full potential, his psychic abilities, plus all of his strength and power." And they're all scared shitless, but they're like, "Hey, this has happened before, apparently, right? Apparently he's been done dirty before, and so he's come after them, but it's always been temporary, right? They're like, oh, he gets mad and he gets angry and he like fights people, but then he reverts back like afterward. And so this is what I was talking about, where it's like more rough, right? As you can see, he's drawn more roughly. It's almost like a sketch, right? It's almost like an early pencils, a first draft. But I think it works, right? Because he's supposed to be angry. He's supposed to be berserk. He's a berserker. So he fights the dinosaur people. He starts whipping ass, and eventually, that's when the pterosaur comes back. He's like, "Hey, we've been through this before. We've been through this dance. You're not what we need you to be. We need you to have control over this power. We need you to not only have it, but have control." And eventually, he fires off this Hellquake Inferno. He shoots this like psychic roar blast at the guy. Rescues the children. The guy flies off. And the day is saved. Kaiji has saved the children. And at one point, the pterodactyl guy does drop the children off and says, "Hey, eat the children, right? You are now an uncontrolled berserker. If you eat the children, perhaps this is the moment that we've been waiting for, right? We've been waiting for you to, be super angry, super mad. And if we get you to eat your brothers, maybe this will be the thing that drives you over the edge." But instead of eating his brothers and sister, he actually reverts back into human. And that's when he's like, "Wait a minute. I love these children. I love these people. These are my family." And he says, "Fuck you, dinosaur man." And he shoots him with the big dinosaur wave, Hellquake Inferno. And we all live happily ever after. And it's this point when Mia drops a line, right? Mia drops this line, and it is so funny, right? It is a classic. Like, if you have children, if you have little children, if you've been around little children, like nieces or nephews, right, where they say things that are wholly inappropriate, but just so funny. So she says something that's wholly inappropriate, but is so fucking funny, right? And I'm not going to ruin it, right? You have to read the book to see the line, but it is legitimately, I was laughing my ass off. I read this line, and I was laughing my fucking ass off in real life. So yeah, really good. And then we kind of get the little revelation at the end there of Kaiji's dad being dead. Gideon is dead, rotting in the forest. And then we kind of go cliffhanger. Now, what's going to happen next? What's next? It says to be continued in part 2, The Beast Within. Like I said, it is really good. It's really good. There's a few little nitpicks, right? Obviously, I want to know what happened to the dad, the brother. The children are typical, I would say, typical anime cartoon children, right? Where it's like murders happening around them and they're really not reacting to murder, right? It's like, oh, my mom died. And it's like, they're not crying. They're just kind of like, okay, that happened. Let's keep going with the plot. Maybe if you would have showed them like butchering cows or something, right? Like show them like something where like the mom explains what death means and how it's not a big deal to them, right? Like then it kind of would explain why the children weren't really affected by the mom dying. But other than that, like I said, it's really good. It's really good. It's really fast. You could read through it, and it's again, that's not like, oh my god, it just goes by because there's nothing. Like no, it is good. And you won't even notice. You'll just read it, and it just flows so well, so good that you just read through it. And you're like, oh man, that's great. I want more. I want more of Dinoking. It was a good read, great even. Apart from the little nitpicks, apart from the, again, my preference to not have words being broken up unnecessarily. That's just a preference. It's not really. Liam doesn't have to fix it. It was just something that I prefer. And then obviously the sections where I showed you where the texts were really, really small, but those were outside of the book, so that they don't even they don't affect the story in any way. But I would really like to read that information, and so probably I'd go back if I was Liam and add some pages to make that text a little bit bigger. Overall, I would say it's a solid 8. It is probably the best. When EVS said this was the best CG book. I want to say that right now it is my favorite. I don't know if it's the best, right? Because I would still say that Wreck Planet has better art, right? Clearly, it's more detailed, way better art. Liam's art is manga. It's manga inspired, right? It's very old school manga style art. And then, like I said, it gets rough, but then it's rough for a purpose, right? It's not rough just because Liam's bad. It's rough because it's trying to invoke an emotion in you of like this guy going berserk. But I would say that definitely EVS's art is better. So on the what is the best book in CG? It's close. It's there, right? I would say it's top 5, top 3 even, right? But just because I think other people's has better art to go along with their story, I think like Wreck Planet is a better book overall. But definitely in the top 3. I really enjoyed this, and like I said, I would highly recommend this to anybody. If you're interested in Dinoking, if you can get yourself a copy of this bad boy, I would definitely get one. A really good book. But if you've read it, let me know what you think.